Welcome to the Jeff Miller Show. Each week, Jeff Miller of the Jeff Miller Consulting Alliance talks with Podcast Village host Charlie Burney about trends in business, consulting, and much more. The Consulting Alliance offers strategic counsel and tactical support to businesses, corporations, and nonprofit organizations in the Washington, D.C. area and beyond.
Here we are for the Jeff Miller Show in the Podcast Village Intergalactic Studios again. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Charlie. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You brought a guest with you, so you get to do the introductions today.
I did. Kelly Jennings is one of my favorite people. She's the owner of Quincy CFO, and I'll let her describe what it is that she does.
Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you. It's very nice to meet you, Charlie. And Jeff, thanks for inviting me.
Sure.
This is a much welcome respite from just the two of us. So, Kelly, you hadn't been here before, so welcome to Launch Workplaces. Tell me your story.
Oh, my story. Where does that begin?
What are you willing to share?
Let me keep it to maybe the focus of me and where I earn my money or how I serve my clients or where I get my energy. By degree, I'm an accountant, got a bachelor's in accounting, and as the children of people that owned a construction company out of the house growing up, I only knew that there was one thing in life, and it was work and personal.
Yeah.
And so somewhere along my career in public accounting and then into controller CFO-ship at some companies here in Montgomery County, Maryland, I learned that I wanted to be my own business owner, and I wanted to take everything I'd learned out there in industry to small businesses that didn't need a full-time senior-level administrative person or a full-time CFO, as I am.
But they need
a part-time person.
Okay.
They just need that person a couple days a month or a day a week, or maybe today it looks like a day a week, but a year from now it's less than that.
Right.
And so I ebb and flow with my clients and am there helping.
That's responsive. That's pretty hip, Instead of just giving the huge rate or whatever it is, you're being absolutely flexible.
I met Kelly the first time. You were at a workshop that I was given, and the thing that stood out was Kelly's energy. Mm-hmm. Like there's just this energy that comes out, and we started talking, and it seemed as though we had a thing or two in common, and. Mm-hmm. She became a client, and down the road, at some point we started working at times with each other's clients, mm-hmm. and just a really nice symbiotic relationship.
Mm-hmm. And tell me what client work you guys were doing together. I love getting into specifics.
Well, that's interesting because...
what you can admit to.
It's not even admitting to it or not, but when I talk about what I do with my clients, in fact, I met with somebody today, I can't even remember who it was, but they're like, oh, so you're a business coach. I'm like, no, I'm absolutely not a business coach because I'm not the best person. It's just not my personality to do a good job holding people accountable or being after them week after week after week to get done what they promised doing. That's mm-hmm. exactly what a coach is.
Sure.
In fact, Jeff taught that to me, that a coach is somebody who's going to be like a basketball coach, but they're a business coach. And that's mm-hmm. kind of how I thought about it, my son being big into basketball back many years ago when we met each other. So I don't do business coaching. Instead, I'm a member of your senior leadership team who's taking the ownership of the financial side or the administrative side or the back office side of your house. I'm trying to relieve the CEO of some of these more administrative duties or distractions to him or her so that he or she can focus on clients and product
or their
and customer service.
We often talk about the three legs to the bar stool, and sometimes you're good at two, but you may not be good at that third one, which you don't want to pay attention to because it's not your core competency.
Right. And that's how I look at how Jeff and I complement each other a lot. My core competency is not being a business coach, mm-hmm. not holding you accountable. Of course I hold my clients accountable, but it's more like
it's not quite the same holding accountable.
It's very different. Yeah. Very different.
And you certainly don't want me balancing your books, Charlie.
Well, that's nor I. So that's that point. But you're not actually balancing the books, or maybe sometimes you're helping or overseeing that. You're just sitting there as an executive on an as-needed basis to help run the company.
It can look very different to different clients, of course. Yeah. There's no one answer to everything. But I have come to learn in the 5+ years of Quincy CFO that there are 3 different buckets I look at your on-site accounting department as. The first bucket being bookkeeping, day-to-day, paper pushing, on-site receiving the mail, and then on the other end of the spectrum is your CFO, budgeting, forecasting, planning, strategy. Then there's this thing in the middle called accounting, which is a little bit more than bookkeeping, but not the strategic end or the high-level view of being a CFO. And it's kind of the day-to-day, month-end close, making sure things are shored up, looking at variance analysis. And so somewhere, I certainly don't, my team and I don't fall on the bookkeeping end. We kind of go accounting all the way to CFO.
Okay. And I wonder what happens sometimes. Do you come in and find, if you will, irregularities that you need to, that maybe the CEO has not focused on?
There's always that rock that you pick up that you don't quite know what you're going to find when you go underneath.
That's where I was headed.
And sometimes it's, plenty of times it's not scary underneath there. It's just maybe something that we lost our eye on, and we need to pick up somewhere. In fact, I was just meeting. God, I've had a busy day already. I was just meeting somebody recently, and he was talking about how when you outsource your payroll, which I feel strongly everybody should do.
Should outsource, yeah.
The company that you outsource your payroll to had better be bonded, because it's happened way too many times that they take your tax money and they take your employees' pay. They pay the employees, but if they run into financial trouble themselves, they might not remit your tax money to the federal government. And so you want to make sure they're bonded so that there is some faith and surety out there, making sure that your
sounds natural,
money...
but I'm sure that is a mistake that's made.
Just to go back to the rock comment, I think one of the things that we have in common is we work with entrepreneurs. And by definition, they're brilliant at what they do, and they're going 100 miles an hour in many different directions at the same time. And they recognize the need to bring in people to help support them in the areas where they're either it's not their core competency, or frankly, they're not interested. And as you said, oftentimes do take their eye off of the ball, and that's fine. That's why there are people like Kelly and myself to go in and to try to help that. And the fact that we're working with entrepreneurs is probably one of the more exciting things about what we do.
Well, there's certainly a lot of variety out there, and that's fun. I mean, you never know what kind of client you're working with, and from where they come from, and whatever road you're going to go down with them. So, the variety of anywhere from working with a law firm to another solopreneur or.
I mean, just by example, sorry to interrupt, but I mean, if at least three clients that we've shared in some way, shape, or form. One were a bunch of young guys who were architects and design company. Kind of reminded me, for those of our generation who might remember 30-something.
Oh, yeah.
It was that type of setup. We've worked together with a spa down in D.C., which was interesting. And also with an architecture firm, but they architect acoustical engineering.
Ah, okay.
So
I need a little of that.
Three very different industries.
Yeah.
Three very different personalities.
Yeah.
But, 3 different generations too. When I think about the CEOs, the people that ran those company, a couple different age brackets in there.
But I'm sure that everything is different, and everybody's, each one of those groups was different. Each one of those groups executives had core competencies that were different and had different gaps.
Kelly, when you think about what you do, what's the thing you enjoy most?
Very simply, it's just helping. And I don't know where that comes from. Is that a primarily female thing that females like to help people? But I just really like to help people. There's nothing more satisfying than coming in and seeing somebody have a deficiency in understanding the financials, or a deficiency in not having things turned around fast enough, or having a deficiency in cash flow. Okay. And I can help with that. Sure. And seeing the relief on their face, or maybe they don't show it on their face so much, but knowing that they're sleeping a little bit better at night because we've been able to identify something that they couldn't formerly do themselves.
Yeah, and I can put that, in a little bit the same thing, but a little bit different. Last night I had the opportunity to speak to a bunch of high school kids who were involved in a leadership program. So I had these kids who were 14 to 17, which was interesting in and of itself. And it was at 7:30 at night, so these kids had hit the wall already. But I spoke to them in terms of leadership and the concept of, are you coming from scarcity or are you coming from abundance? Because leaders come from abundance, and that desire to help people, and that's the motivator. Right. Again, it's one of the reasons why I think Kelly and I work well together, is because we share that philosophy. We're here to help, and if we do that, and if we stay true to that, the money, the revenue, the profit will come. But it comes as a result of being abundant in our approach to our clientele.
Now, tell me again about Quincy. How old is that, and what's the address of your website?
Quincy CFO is 5.5 years old.
5.5 years old, okay.
Website's www.quincycfo.com.
Okay, that's pretty easy to remember. I'll put that in the show notes, yeah.
No relation to Quincy, Massachusetts. That
Quincy,
seems to be a very popular
Jones,
question.
MD.
Or John Quincy Adams.
Who's the king of the Quincy? Sorry. Okay, and we know how to get a hold of Jeff. So any other stories you guys want to tell or dive into before we bring it to a close?
We get together just to help one another. Like, these are the troubles I had this month, or this is a challenge one of my clients is having. Or, there have been times when we've worked on clients together, but then one of us fell off and the other one still continues. It's like, let's share updates.
So you can still be a great soundboard for each other in that instance. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it's funny because there's so many people out there doing the things that Kelly and I do, performing these services. And they feel as though they need to kind of hunker down and keep secrets and not talk about best practices and what's going on. And there's so much business.
Right.
I mean, especially in Montgomery County, if you use 3 or 4 zip codes just around here, there are 5,000, 10,000 businesses. Yeah. So there's more than enough. And again, it goes back to that sense of abundance and, being open and being honest and saying, hey, I'm encountering this, not quite sure what to do. What do you think?
But to support what you're saying, I don't know there are a lot of people in either doing what either one of you do who are willing to cross-pollinate that much. I do see the person who's just, you just need me, and I don't need anybody else, and I won't share my comments, criticisms, or ideas or creativity with anyone else. So I think it's exciting. It's exciting for me to hear that you guys do that, especially when you said even if there's a client that one of you have fallen off from, we can still bounce ideas and create a better tomorrow for everybody, for you and for your remaining clients. So
that's one of the things actually that I don't know when this generally comes up with people, but whenever I meet with a new client and I think about engaging with a new client and how I can help a new client, one of those services that they get for free that they don't necessarily know they're getting when they get into it is how when you work with a business coach or a part-time CFO or one of these service providers out there, as the really good engineer that's running the engineering firm that you're running or whether you're running a spa, you are incredibly focused day in and day out, during sleep, during wake hours, working on whatever your business is, a spa or an engineering firm. These people don't get out and network and get to understand all the many zip codes in Montgomery County and all the many services in Montgomery County. That was very important to me when I started Quincy CFO. Is I'm getting out of a CFO and controller position. I've got to go out and learn that there are even business coaches, that there, what business coaches can do, and that there are CEO groups, and that there's not just one payroll company. And so when our clients are struggling, I always hope that they're going to come out to me and be like, hey, do you know how I can solve this problem? Or do you know anyone that does this? And it's very important to me always. I'm like, here's 2 or 3 people that do. I won't make the decision for my clients, but I will put them in front of people that I know and trust in whatever it is that needs to address their problem.
My dad saying, Jeff, the right tool for the right job. He never tried to do it all himself. He always would call, whether it's a lawyer or a mechanic or, the right pair of pliers, the right screwdriver for the right job.
Well, and when you look at, the statistic that most businesses fail within the first 3 years, 80%, or depends, what statistic you're looking at, that's really the root cause of it, is that they burn out because they are doing everything in the business and you can't.
Right.
So, at a certain point, understanding that you can't do it alone and that the investment that you make in your business, but more importantly in yourself as an entrepreneur, is probably the most important investment that you could make. Right. What don't I know? Where can I find the source to fill that gap in my business?
Right.
And again, we said it earlier, I think certainly for me and I think for Kelly too, working with those kinds of people, tremendously satisfying because they have an ego, but their ego isn't large enough to preclude me from doing my job for what they brought me in on. And it's helping, as Kelly said, but it's also at a certain point becoming a part of their team. and a sense of you're almost indispensable to where they're trying to go. And that's really cool.
I love what you say here on the website. No one can build a company solo. We complement your efforts so you grow. I mean, that really explains what you've been talking about so clearly. And so, I'm always looking for the right battle cry, and that's a really, really good one. So QuincyCFO.com. And I guess that's about it for the show, folks.
Just to end on the note, let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.